The Stars Unlimited Leader Spotlight. Today's video we're going to be talking about one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy and one of the most powerful leaders in the entire game. Before we get into that though, let's go over the rules. Not every card we talk about in today's video will actually be the most amazing card to play with this leader. In fact, they might not even be the cards that anybody plays with these leaders, just some personal preferences of the cards that synergize well with the leader at first glance. That also being said, in an attempt to keep these videos short, we're not trying to go over every card that works with these leaders, even through our own opinion and our own experiences. So that being said, let's get right into the leader spotlight. So today we're going to be talking about your favorite and mine, Boba Fett. Boba Fett's going to be the leader card that we're going to go over in today's video. He's going to be cunning and villainous. He's going to have the underworld and bounty hunter keyword, and he's going to have an ability. When an enemy unit leaves play, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, you get the ready a resource. So this whole game plan is getting your enemy units off the field and collecting that bounty. As an epic action, if you control 5 or more resources, you can deploy him as a leader unit, and when you do, he's going to have a 4/7 stat line, and then he's going to have basically the same ability. But when this unit completes an attack, if an enemy unit left play this phase, ready up to 2 resources. So a little bit different, but at the end of the day, relatively similar. So your goal will be the same when using this leader. So let's take a look at some of the cards you may want to play with this leader in particular. So when it comes to the cunning aspect, your base options are pretty decent. You can use Jeddah City to make your opponent's units more docile, so that when you swing into them, you can actually deal damage without being afraid of them dealing damage back. And then, of course, you can then activate Boba's ability. But let's look at some of the other unit cards and the other cards within the cunning aspect. So the ISB Agent, 1 cost, 1/3. When you play him, you can reveal an event from your hand. If you do, deal 1 damage to an enemy unit. Most units will not be taken off the board by this, but there's some that are. But mostly you're using this to soften up a unit to take out with some other effects. You can also play Greedo, another 1 cost, 3/1 this time. When defeated, you may discard a card from your deck, and if it's not a unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit. ISB Agent Greedo in combination on turn 1 can lead to some pretty early game, taking some early game enemies off the field, because early game units won't exactly be that defensive, and if both those attracts fire well, then you can actually take out some weaker units off the field. You can also play the Cantina Bounty Hunter if you're Bouncer. If you're playing double cunning, then you have a 5 cost 3/5 unit. When played, you can return an enemy non-leader unit, or just any non-leader unit, to its owner's hand, which will usually be your enemies, and that will be at leaving play, so it'll turn on Boba Fett's ability. You can also use Bossk. He's going to be a 5 cost unit, 4/5. He's going to have the ambush keyword, so when you immediately after you play him, you can attack with him, hopefully taking a unit off the field. And then also, when you play an event, you may deal 2 damage to an enemy unit. It's going to allow you to take some weaker units, or even soften up some other units to be taken off the field. The Boba Fett's Fire Spray, or as the real fans call it, the Slave 1, is going to be a 6 cost 5/6. When you play it, if Boba or Jango Fett is in play as a leader or in a unit, you can ready this unit. Obviously, we don't have any Jango cards yet. We just have Boba, but this is future proofing. And then we have an action cost. You can pay 2. It's an action, and then you can exhaust a non-unique leader unit. So we're really playing it for that first ability there. Not to say that the second ability isn't great. You also can play the cunning event if you're playing double cunning. 4 costs, choose 2 in any order. Return a non-leader unit with 4 or less power to its owner's hand. We're usually using that ability. We can also give a unit +4 power +0. We can also exhaust up to 2 units, or you can make an opponent discard a random card from their hand. Most of these are good effects, but really want to be looking at that first one to be used to activate Boba's effect. You can also play the Trick event, I Had No Choice, 7 cost, cunning, villainous. Choose up to 2 non-leader units, and an opponent chooses one of those units, returns that unit to the owner's hand, and puts the other unit on the bottom of that owner's deck. That will take 2 units off the field, but also this is a way to just take some units off the field and activate Boba's effect there. And then finally, you can play the Smuggling Compartment. Do it attached to one of your vehicles. We're not going to talk about too many vehicles in today's video, but obviously you can build around that. And it's going to be a 1 cost upgrade, 1/1, and then that unit gains on attack, ready a resource. So it's going to be a nice little ability you can use there to get some more resources in the field, or rather to get more uses out of your resources so that you can take full advantage of them. So say you want to play Boba Fett with aggression, perfectly fine. This is a really cool way to play him because they have a lot of burn in aggression. It's going to allow you to take out some units easier, some other aspects. So aggression has Stark in Town, 25. It adds an epic action, deal 3 damage to a non-leader unit. Perfect. This can take a lot of different units off the field, right, with that one ability. So putting this into your deck to have anytime you really want, you can say, well, I'm going to knock an opponent's unit off the field and activate that Boba ability. Absolutely amazing. I really do like playing Tarkin Town with Boba, right? So then for some units you can put into your deck, you can play 7th Sister. She's going to be a 5-cost unit, 3/6, Saboteur, but also when this unit deals combat damage to an opponent's base, you may deal 3 damage to a ground unit that the opponent controls. Again, 3 damage can take a lot of different units off the field, so it's going to be something that is a really powerful ability when you're trying to activate Boba's ability. Emperor Palpatine's a really expensive unit, 8 cost, 6/6, but he has Overwhelm. But also, when you play him, you can deal 6 damage as you divide it as you choose among enemy units, and that's going to, of course, allow you to take some units off the field. You can really just slam any one unit with 6 damage, and that's almost going to guarantee it. But of course, he's an 8-cost unit, and he's not really going to come out into late game, if at all. And then you can play the Imperial Interceptor, 4 cost, 3/2. When played, deal 3 damage to a space unit. Same idea as some of the other cards we've been talking about. You can play Ruthless Raider, 6 costs, 4/6. When played and when defeated, deal up to 2 damage to an enemy base and 2 damage to an enemy unit. To allow you to take ping some stronger units, take some weaker units off the field, but ultimately deal that burn damage to make it easier for you to get in there and deal with those units. Open Fire, 3 cost, 4 damage to a unit. Same idea, just that burn, that direct damage to try to take those units off the field. Force Choke's going to be a 2 cost. If you have a Force unit in play, this event's going to cost 1 less to play, but usually it's going to be 2. But also you can deal 5 damage to a non-vehicle unit, and if the controller gets a draw a card. But 5 damage is enough to take a lot of different units off the field. So then after aggression, we can take a look at some of the cool command cards that Boba Fett has access to. And I think the command is, again, another great way to play Boba. This is probably why he's so good. You can use one of the mini bases for the command. It's completely fine to use the basic base here, but of course the base that gives a unit ambush is also really important, because the ambush can allow you to take some quick knockouts on some certain units. You have Rook, which is going to be a 5-cost unit, 3/6, shielded, but also when he deals combat damage to a non-leader unit while attacking, you can instantly defeat that unit, no matter how powerful it is. So that's going to allow you to activate Boba's effect, but also take some really powerful units off the field. The Blizzard Assault AT-AT is going to be 8 cost, really expensive, 9/9. When this unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may deal the excess damage from this attack to an enemy ground unit. So again, just that burn, that direct damage, that I'm going to just take your units off the field so that I can activate Boba's ability. 2 calls, Frontline Shuttle is going to be a 1/3 action. Defeat this unit. Attack with a unit, even if it's an exhausted unit, and it can attack bases for this attack, but of course you don't really care about attacking bases. So essentially you could theoretically play the Blizzard Assault AT-AT, attack with it. Well, not play it and attack with it in the same turn, but attack with it because you already played it last turn, play the Frontline Shuttle, defeat the Frontline Shuttle, and then you can then use that again, which is absolutely nuts, right? And then you can also play the Devastator. Obviously, this won't really happen all that often, or really probably never even, but it's really cool to talk about. 10 cost, 10/10, Sentinel, and Overwhelm. When you play it, you may deal damage to a unit equal to the number of resources you control. Absolutely amazing. It's going to knock out a lot of different units off the field. And of course, unless you play this through some other way other than cosplaying it, you're going to be able to usually deal 10 plus damage to any unit on the field. And then you can play the Tactic Event Overwhelming Barrage, 5 cost. Give a friendly unit +2/+2. This phase, then it deals damage equal to its power, divided as you choose amongst any number of other units. Depending on what unit you use this on, it could be various levels of power, but usually this is going to allow you to burn and take some units off the field that your opponent has. Then on a similar vein, or on a similar note, we have the Strike True, Tactic Command. 3 costs, a friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to an enemy unit. Now it's just going to allow you to take some weaker units off the field if you're using it with a weaker unit, but if you're using it with a more powerful, bigger, beefier unit, it's going to take some more powerful, beefier, bigger units off the field. So this is one of my favorite ways to play Boba, which is Vigilance, because it has so many ways to just take units off the field when you're playing Vigilance. You have your choice of bases here are wide-ranging and amazing, but the perfectly is fine to use the basic base. There's nothing wrong with that, because you don't. For Boba Fett's gameplay, you're not always going to need the security complex, but you might if that ever comes up. So what are some of the cool cards you can play with Vigilance? Death Trooper's cool, 3 cost, 3/3. When you play him, you can deal 2 damage to a friendly ground unit and 2 damage to an enemy ground unit. Well, you have to deal 2 damage to the friendly ground unit, but then you can deal 2 damage to an enemy ground unit, which is a little bit of burn there. You can play Count Dooku, which is a really cool card. 7 cost, 5/4, shielded. When you play him, you can defeat a unit with 4 or less remaining HP. It's going to allow you to take out a bunch of different weaker units off the field, but usually it's also going to allow you to just, yeah, well, that's really all it can do. Take off some weaker units, but also if there's, that's what I was going to say, if there's a bigger unit that's a little weaker at the time, then you can just take that right off the field as well. Then you have the Avenger, a bigger unit, 9 cost, 8/8. When played and when you attack with it, an opponent chooses a non-leader unit they control and just defeat it. Obviously, it's only not going to be able to be active until late game, but when it is active, it's going to allow you to do a lot of cool things with it. Then you can play the Power of the Dark Side, and this is when we're going to talk about a bunch of the different vigilance cards that are just have the amazing ability to just knock units off the field. An opponent chooses a unit they control, defeat it. It doesn't matter who they control because you're going to get the ability to activate Boba's effect. Super Laser Blast, 8 cost to defeat all units. Not exactly a great card in my opinion, or an amazing card, but if you're really behind, your opponent has many more units than you, and they're threatening lethal this turn, you can use this ability to just wipe them all off the field. And once you have Boba's effect active, then you can actually get some more resources ready and maybe do something else with your turn. So it's some way to clear out the B field if you're really far behind, or whether you're really feeling like, well, I haven't got anything else to lose. And then you have Takedown, 4 cost, defeat a unit with 5 HP or less, similar to Dooku, again, just knocking units off the field. And then finally, you have Vanquish, Tactic, and it's going to be 5 cost, defeat a non-leader unit. And then you can also, if you want to play an upgrade, I forgot about, I was going to talk about this. If you want to play an upgrade, 2 cost, 3/3, attached unit, can't attack bases, sadly, but it can attack units, and +3 attack is going to allow you to take out a lot of different units with a lot of different units with a lot of different units. And then finally, just to talk about some of the villainy cards. Well, there's only one I really want to speak about in today's video. It's going to be I Am Your Father. 3 cost, deal 7 damage to an enemy unit. Of course, they can say no, and if they do, you get to draw 3 cards. But if they don't, when you have those 3 cards, which they might usually, you can deal 7 damage to any one of their units, which is going to take out almost any unit off the field. Of course, there's some bigger units, but generally on turn 3 or turn 4, whenever you're playing this, it's going to just knock out a unit. And even if they say no, drawing 3 cards is always going to be important. And now they have to essentially let you have this card that says pay 3, draw 3, or else they're just going to have to drop a unit. Just drop one, whichever one you choose. So that's going to be it today's video. Hopefully that was a little bit quicker, but I hope I really exemplified why Boba Fett's one of the coolest leaders in the game. He has the amazing ability to take advantage of a lot of these cards that just say, well, deal damage to a unit, blow up a unit. And then, of course, you have combat. You can swing in with your units to deal damage to your opponent's units and take them off the field. You don't need to do it through card effects. And so Boba Fett's going to allow you to do that and then gain resources for doing it. And you're just going to be able to play the game. But then after you're playing the game like everybody else, you just get you get better. You get to do more than other leaders and other leader units in the game. That being said, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Hope you guys get ready and more excited for Star Wars Unlimited because they'll be coming out soon. Hope you guys look forward to more Star Wars Unlimited leader spotlights in the future. Well, that's going to be all for now, but if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and watch some of our other videos that we've made on this channel. Also, give this video a like if you thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content. And I hope to see you guys back at the Roost.